Hi, I'm Justin Boyd.
Hi, I'm George Luna.
I'm Brittany Pacheco.
Hi, I'm Drew.
And we are the Watchers in the Basement.
Welcome to the Watchers in the Basement. We are back today to discuss the Book of Boba Fett. But before we do that, we have a special guest. As you can see, we have our friend from the north, Drew Weisse, is with us. Drew, it's great to have you on the show.
Thank you guys for having me. It's a real honor to be here, and I couldn't think of one of the better series to be part of. So thank you guys so much.
Yeah, it's great to have you here. A year ago, whenever the Book of Boba Fett was announced, as a post-credit scene for The Mandalorian, which I think we're going to get more into The Mandalorian here very shortly. When it was announced, right away you messaged me and you're like, "Hey, if y'all do something about the Book of Boba Fett, I want to be on the show." And so here you are. You're on the show. And so
Awesome.
let's get right to it. What is it about the character of Boba Fett that you like so much? Because Boba Fett, historically, he's always been considered like one of the coolest characters, even though, his screen time, for example, he was only in, two of the original trilogy movies. He was in The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. He was only on screen for a total of 6 minutes, 32 seconds. He only had 4 lines of dialogue. So what is it about this character that made him become one of your favorites?
So for me, I'm an aging Gen Xer. So back in the day, Star Wars was awesome, and you're just like, I want more Star Wars. And it's getting to be 79 and 1980. Empire Strikes Back comes out, and you're flip on the back of your Kenner action figure, save 4 proof of purchases for this new bounty hunter character, Boba Fett. And you're just like, what's this Boba Fett? And we didn't have Google or anything, so we're trying to figure out who Boba Fett is. And he just looks in a badass. It's like he's got this mask. He doesn't look like a stormtrooper. Is he good? Is he bad? Is he with the Empire? Is he with the Rebellion? And it just, he just was so cool. And then, you sent your 4 proof of purchases in, and you got them. And I actually got one of the original ones where the bat rocket thing would launch in the back before the one kid choked and they had to not make him launch anymore. So it just throughout, and he was just that character. And I don't know. Maybe it's just a cool character that he was his own thing. He wasn't with the Empire, wasn't the Rebellion. He was for money. He was mercenary. So, had that Western feel, as we've talked about offline about, Lucas has a Western feel to his story. So just was cool. The mask, it's like, I remember dressing up as Boba Fett for a couple Halloweens in the 80s. It's just cool, man. He was so different than everybody else. No force powers, not a stormtrooper, not Rebellion. He was his own bad self.
Yeah, he was very cool. And I recommend everyone, if you haven't watched this yet, there's a really, really awesome, it's like 20-minute mini documentary about Boba Fett. It's called Boba Fett's History Under the Helmet, The Legacy of Boba Fett. It's on Disney Plus, of course. And it tells it basically what Drew just said is in this, the action figure stuff. All that stuff is explained in this little mini documentary. And it really, I don't know if y'all know this, but actually Boba Fett wasn't supposed to be a single character. He was supposed to be the design for a higher level of stormtrooper. Originally, George Lucas wanted to have an army of Boba Fetts, but they didn't have the money to make these suits, and they ran out of time. And so they're like, well, let's just make him like a bounty hunter or something. And so that's how he became this legendary, lone wolf kind of character. And it was basically just because they didn't have the money or time to make him this next level stormtrooper. So, like I said, if you get a chance to watch that documentary, I think you'll enjoy it because it's very well done. It's very a quick hitter kind of piece that explains the whole character and is a perfect lead in for the show that we just finished watching, which is the Book of Boba Fett. The Book of Boba Fett, the series, it was a 7-chapter series, which both seasons of The Mandalorian were 8 episodes or 8 chapters, I guess you would say. So this is only 7 chapters.
That bothered me.
Yeah, it started airing. The first episode aired on December 29th, 2021. And of course, the finale just finished up this week, February 9th. Before I just kind of get into, the cast and everything, let's talk about it. Let's get overall impressions of the show. Brittany, I'll start out with you. What did you think overall about the season of the Book of Boba Fett?
I honestly have mixed feelings just because it had its low points, it had its really high points, and I'll leave my thoughts for the finale when we get to talking about the finale. It's overall just a little mixed. I feel that there was way more potential that could have been there. The fact that they diverted from the main character, it's called the Book of Boba Fett. And then you bring back the Mandalorian, which is fine. I like the Mandalorian. But more than halfway through the season, it turned into the Mandalorian season 3. However, I did enjoy the overall that is the Book of Boba Fett. And real quick, Justin, I do want to give a shout out to our friends that are watching here. Nick, a friend from the UK, Walking with the Woods. To those who are watching who may not know about Nick's channel, they do a lot of fun trivia. I've participated in one of their trivia, which was Marvel came in second place. What?
Wow.
But he's got a lot of great trivia coming up for the next few months, actually. One of them will be Harry Potter related. So yeah, check out Nick with Walking with the Woods. And then also just want to give a quick shout out to my girl, Mel from Geeking Out with Melly Mel. She is just a lovely person and had me as a guest on her pod on Sundays, a couple Sundays ago, actually. We talked a little bit about Boba Fett, taught her something new about the Mandalorian, what his name is, Din Djarin. So that was fun. So thank you all very much for being here. We really appreciate it. Let us know your thoughts about the Book of Boba Fett, what you liked about it, what you didn't like about it, the characters involved. We're going to try to touch on just about everything here, and we'd love to have your input as well. So Nick says that it was a strange length for a series. I agree. That kind of bothered me. George, what were your overall thoughts on the Book of Boba Fett?
It was really short. I thought we would get at least 8. I was expecting that just because of the Mandalorian. But honestly, this might be my favorite Star Wars thing I've ever seen.
Wow.
Like out of everything, like even the movies. Like
wow.
Honestly, the storytelling was great when it just picks up, and like the flashbacks, like it's kind of clear like where the story is going. I enjoyed that a lot. I learned a lot about Boba Fett, how he got out. The only downside I do agree with you, Britt, is like the last 2 episodes, they gave a full episode to the Mandalorian. Like that wasn't necessary. Like we didn't really need that.
Yeah.
Like you could wait for, he has his own show. I don't know. I feel like there was a missed opportunity like to get more stuff about Boba Fett, but I guess towards the ending that it had for the show, for that final episode, you needed to kind of do that, but I don't think you need a whole episode for it. But honestly, I really liked it. I thought it was great. I think it's way better than Mandalorian for me. Like I enjoyed it.
Yeah,
wow.
and my friend Mel, kind of disagrees with you in a sense, George, about Mandalorian being involved. She liked the fact that he was on screen for longer than 5 minutes. So she hadn't really connected much with the series until that point. Hey, listen, I was curious about why he was so involved. Like, why would they bring him into another character's show? Like, I feel like that's kind of breaking some sort of maybe unwritten rule when it comes to television writing. I don't know, but it was interesting to say the least. Drew, our special guest, our friend from the North, obviously you're a huge Boba Fett fan. What did you think overall about the Book of Boba Fett?
So I apologize for being an aged Gen X fanboy. I absolutely loved it. I tied up there with the Mandalorian. The Mandalorian, again, is that mystique of the helmet and everything. I did like about episodes 5 and 6, all the internet chatter about the Book of Boba Fett, guest starring Boba Fett. As a pure Star Wars fan, that was a common thing I saw the last 2 weeks. But as I DM with Justin a couple times, as a pure Star Wars fan, a man that has read 33 post Return of the Jedi books, actually read books, loved it. I couldn't get enough of it. 7 wasn't enough. It was interesting how some of the episodes were shorter than others, but from the books I've read, they mentioned Dathomir, which is the home planet of the Rancors, which is if you guys get a chance, read The Courtship of Princess Leia. There's a part where Luke goes to Dathomir and uses the Force with the Rancors. It pulled on stuff I'm very much familiar with because I had to read books when I was 20, so I'm 30 years old. But I loved it. I'm not a hater of anything, so loved it as much as The Mandalorian. I understand why they brought the two together. If people forget how much Boba Fett was actually in the second series, season 2 of The Mandalorian, if you look at some of the stuff, it's all tying back together through Boba Fett's memory. Because when he shows up, he's got the cloak and the Tusken Raider staff when he's coming out
Mhm.
of his spaceship. And
Yep.
so I loved it. And thank you for having me. I can't thank you guys enough. It's a real honor to be here.
Yeah, of course. So my thoughts, I'm kind of on the same level as Brittany. I have kind of a mixed view of the show. I enjoyed it. The comment about, you know, the fact that the Mandalorian kind of took over the show. I mean, I can easily explain that. It's also it's something that I enjoy about all this stuff. It's the Marvel, it's the MCU of it. It's setting up, it's bringing other characters into shows, setting up things down the road. I love that part of it. I love that it's like this big, like they're connecting these characters and connecting this universe, and they're trying to bridge the gap between, you know, Return of the Jedi and the sequel series, which everyone knows that's watching this or listening. I wasn't a big fan of those movies. So, but they're trying to make those movies better. And, you know, but also the main reason why the Mandalorian was in this season or in this show was because he's an awesome character. And there's this little guy that's on Luke Skywalker's back over here that I can't point to correctly because it's weird for me.
That's
But,
Justin. I got you. I got you.
You got me.
I,
There you
I
go.
got you.
Right. Grogu. You ever heard of him? You know, like they're trying to sell toys and they love this. They know people love this character. So they had to get this character in this season also. And I think that, like I said, overall, like you know, Boba Fett, he was such a mystery to me and to really everybody before this show. And I think the question I maybe have for y'all is like, now that we saw more of him, do we like Boba Fett more now than we did before or less? Because the show, you know, the show obviously kind of turned to the Mandalorian for a little bit and then it went back to him. But, you know, he didn't really have any big moments, even in the finale, which that was the part of that I was kind of, you know, that I didn't really connect with, I guess you would say. George, what do you think about that?
I mean, he kind of had like his, like he got to ride his pet, what do you call it?
Rancor.
The Rancor.
He got to do that. I thought that was sick. Like he came in that and kind of saved the day. But I think he did have like, I understand what you mean, Jay, but like I think he did have, maybe it wasn't to the expectation that we were waiting for, but I think he did have some moments, I guess.
Like I was expecting like these like hyped as hell kind of like moments in the finale. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
you know, the speculation was pretty wild the last few weeks. People were saying, hey, maybe Amelia Clark from the Solo movies is going to be in this movie. Maybe she was going to be the head of the syndicate. Maybe we were going to see Han Solo bring baby Ben Solo to Luke, and we were going to see a de-aged Harrison Ford, or maybe we're going to see a Alden Ehrenreich who played.
You know what I thought was going to happen?
Solo in the movie. Yep.
I thought we were going to see Luke again. When I saw the Starfighter, I was like, damn, he's going to be the reinforcement. Everyone again. That's it.
At that point, it's like, oh, y'all are done.
Yeah,
y'all are so done.
That's what I thought. But then I was like, damn, it's empty. And then I was like, okay.
It wasn't
empty.
R2D2. He was flying.
R2D2 was there and Grogu was there.
It was an X-Wing Uber.
Yeah. Exactly.
Or Lyft. We're not sponsored by anybody. It could be a Lyft. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Sponsor us.
So Drew, what do you think? I mean, obviously you're a huge fan of the character. Do you like the character more now that there's less mystery, or or no?
So life is about change and accepting change. So I've messaged some of you. So there was a series Marvel did a Boba Fett follow-up, like a 4-part series. I can't remember. It's out there and Google it, but where Boba Fett escapes and the Sarlacc pit actually wakes up, ignites his jetpack to get out. So I liked kind of the similarities I saw in the first episode. This, like I said, he was a badass solo lone wolf. And in the series, he was out to get Han and Luke. So to see him do what he did was cool. It just had to shift my paradigm about him. And really, we'll get into it a bit more, but you know, I really liked how they did it because he got out of the Sarlacc pit and he's trying to hunt. You know, they're forming in the storyline I know of. They're forming the New Republic and all that, and he's kind of getting in the way of that. And they have to deal with Boba Fett and then the remnants of the Empire. But this whole thing about him, I like what they did with it. You know, getting beat up by the Jawas, getting his armor stolen, and then going through, you know, like a classic hero. He had his hubris moment, right? I think it's hubris when you got to suffer to gain respect with the whole stuff. With the Tusken Raiders. So I just cleared my mind as you have to do so many things, be appreciative of what you're going to see. And I went to it what threw me for a loop was at the end of the Mandalorian, he comes in and point blank shoots Bib Fortuna, right? I'm like, oh my, we're gonna go here. Where this is the badass Boba Fett, right? And then I had to watch episode 1 3 times. I enjoyed it, but it had to shift my paradigm. Okay, Boba Fett's not going to be out, out for vengeance and this lone wolf and a threat that Luke and Han had to deal with quite a bit in several of the books. So once I shift my paradigm, I love this I'm driving down a new road, a new highway, and I really enjoy it.
So on that note, because I want to go back to talking very briefly about chapter 1 of this series and the explanation that we actually got of how Boba Fett was able to survive. So, and Drew, I don't know if you know this. I sure as hell don't know this. I don't know if anyone else here knows how much time has passed since, Return of the Jedi to the point where we are with the Book of Boba Fett. Obviously, these two series being The Mandalorian and the Book of Boba Fett are in between episode 6 and episode 7, I believe. So I just don't know, how much time, how many years have passed?
I think it's like 5 years. That's what that's what I heard whenever the Mandalorian season 1 started. So maybe it's now 6, 7. I don't know. It's hard to say.
Right. Okay. But regardless, we have an explanation of how Boba Fett was able to survive the Sarlacc pit, right? Because, Luke and his, dealings with everything, Boba ended up in the Sarlacc pit. Okay. We actually have an explanation. So much better than what we got of Palpatine's return. And I will keep saying that until the day I die.
Yeah. I mean, for
and people want to talk about, oh, well, how do you explain Voldemort? You have the Horcruxes, damn it. Okay, sorry. So anyway, my point is we got explanation. George had touched on this earlier, and I agree. This was just well thought out of. And Justin, when you talked about how there's like a Marvel aspect to this, it's because like we have Jon Favreau, who is the creator of the show. He's very involved in Marvel. I mean, he directed the first Iron Man movie, for God's sake. So, when you have a creative mind, and then when you're surrounded by writers and other directors like Dave Filoni, who have been involved with this story for so many years, like you're going to create good content, in my opinion. So just on that note, I thought it was kind of weird with the fact that, we're seeing present day Boba, but then we're getting all the flashbacks, with everything that has gone on, but it was still made for an interesting story in the sense of like how he got from point A to point B, and how he was able to build like some sort of, connection with the Tusken Raiders. I thought I would have never guessed that in a million years, because you just kind of look at the Tusken Raiders as people you would never want to associate with, but they, in a way, are a peaceful civilization. It's people who, come onto their territory that they need to defend it. And that's when they become hostile. Right. So the fact that we're getting, that story, that background story of how he was able to live amongst the Tusken Raiders and to how that kind of shaped him into the person that he currently is now, having taken Jabba's place. Right. It's just an interesting dynamic overall. I think overall it told a good story. Was it executed to the best of its ability? Maybe not, but that's just,
but
my opinion.
What, in that respect, like I think we can say this about all the Disney Plus series, even Marvel series. They all, like, either the finale is not quite as good as the rest of the series, or they have like these weird, some of them were caused by the pandemic, probably some issues, like especially with like the Falcon and Winter Soldier, but all these shows kind of have their problems, But I do think that, like, taking that, like you said about Jon Favreau, taking that Marvel blueprint and that kind of mindset, that's what all these companies that have intellectual property should do, because it's the most successful thing in the world is Marvel Studios. Like, their movies, I mean, right now, Spider-Man is still the #1 movie at box office. Like, Tom Holland's about to have another movie in the theater, Uncharted, like next week.
Yeah.
He could potentially have the top 2 movies at the box office. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, it's really insane. But I want to kind of briefly talk about, because I'm showing this concept art here, which I thought was really beautifully done. You know, I love how they show the concept art at the
Oh, yeah.
credits, you know, for every episode. It's just, I'm not an artist in that sense. I can't draw worth shit. So to see, you know, all of this is really cool. This is why I like to, you know, show these visuals, excuse me. But the significance about spice, you know, that seemed to be like a central storyline in a way. Drew, I mean, can you elaborate on this, the importance of spice in the Star Wars universe? And I think George Lucas was kind of inspired by Dune. Dune has like this whole thing with spice. You know, can you talk on that?
So the what I can talk on as a fan, and they don't touch much post Return of the Jedi, but the little bit I know, I wish I knew more. But I mean, spice is kind of like I'd call it like, you know, powdered Red Bull, right? It's, you take it, it makes you feel good. And of course, the Emperor, being the Emperor, doesn't want anybody to have fun, right? So that's why Solo and those guys are smuggling spice. And you know, spices. I don't want to go like with ecstasy or something, but it's something you take to make you feel better, right? And
it's like a hallucinogenic, right?
Yeah, it's just you know, I myself take non-THC CBD, so I kind of like, it's like to me it's like CBD, right? So it's something that makes you feel good, relax, and you know,
there you go.
To poo dark Sith lords and stuff don't want people to have fun, but you know, and again, the thing with the spice here, it's how you get it, right? So some people just go to these planets to have spice, you know, like I know this Pike Syndicate ties back to other Star Wars, I don't know other Star Wars things like the Clone Wars and stuff like that. So I know the Pike Syndicate's in one of the series or something like that. But again, it's how they acquire it and then how they distribute. Some, you know, legal people that do spice that will go and get contracts, all that. There are other people that will just land on a planet. They got the biggest lasers, you know, so much reflection of society and some of this stuff. So again, if you're one of those crime syndicates and, you know, you go and you get your spice and you run your spice and, you know, it's kind of, lack of a better term, I don't want to give it a dark taint, but it's kind of like a drug thing, right? So that's the best I can share.
Yeah.
Not from experience, from what my friend told me. No, I'm just kidding.
Exactly. Yeah. Right.
No, I just thought it was a really interesting storyline to follow, just because like from what I could remember, I couldn't remember a whole lot of spice ever really being talked about in like the original Star Wars films, as well as the, you know, the prequels and everything since then. So
it's mentioned in the sequel series.
It's
right?
actually mentioned in Star Wars episodes, the original Star Wars. Remember the Millennium Falcon could make the run to the spice mines of Kessel in 4.2 parsecs,
right,
or something like that.
Right.
So that's where spice was introduced as a term back in 1977.
Got it.
Oh, with the spice thing, right? It's probably some kind of fun thing to take, right? So, but anyways, enough from me.
Yeah. Well,
so
you know,
we have a real quick request, y'all, just real quick. So Mel is asking, it's her first time here. She goes, would you guys quickly share with us a bit about you? So we'll do that real quick, and then we'll get back to talking about the Book of Boba Fett. So Justin, go for it.
Yes. About myself?
About yourself.
Well, I am a podcaster. As you can see, I really enjoy the Marvel movies, but I'm wearing a Superman shirt today. I'm a Superman fan. Yeah, I'm just a regular guy. Just I really enjoy.
Just a regular guy.
Yeah, just a regular guy. You know, I kind of fancy myself as a little bit of a comedian, but that's it.
Yeah.
Like George, what are some of your likes and dislikes?
I guess I can say that I'm the binge king of probably of all of us.
Oh yeah, hands down the binge king.
I could binge any show within like a matter of like a day or two.
Yes.
And I'm probably the biggest hater on the show. I hate a lot of things.
Yeah,
kind of a bitter man, George. It's okay. I was an outside super fan. As much as I've watched you bitter at times. It's sad. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, George. After the failure that was season 8 of Game of Thrones, refuses to acknowledge that the show ever existed.
I don't even know what show that is.
The Royal
Exhibit A.
Royal Musical Chairs. That show.
Exhibit A. So about me, and you know, just like the rest of these guys. So Justin, George, and we all work together. We've been friends for a while, and we enjoy many of the same sort of pop culture, you know, TV series, movies, that kind of thing. And that's how we all kind of connected. And we at work would make like these fun little short videos to promote on social media. And that's kind of how like the podcast was beginning to form. We decided we wanted to do a podcast pre season 8 of Game of Thrones, and then what happened, and we just kind of moved to Marvel. So, but since then, obviously, we're here talking about Star Wars. I want to talk about Harry Potter, but I need to get everyone on board about that. But it's going to happen. If not, it's going to happen on my second channel. So yeah, that's kind of me in a nutshell. And Drew is actually our special guest. He's been our fan since like day
Our
one.
number one fan.
Yeah.
Seriously.
I'll go real quick, Brittany, or you just
go for it. Go for it.
I met the fourth member of their group. I met on a flight from Minneapolis, St. Paul to Dallas, Texas. I live in the Midwest, also known as Hoth, the planet Hoth this time of year. It's cold and snowy here. So I'm their brother from the
frozen
north.
tundra.
Frozen tundra. So I've also been their brother from the north when the Game of Thrones was actually cool. But met Frank on a flight. He saw my Infinity War shirt. He was eating Haribo gummy bears, and then we struck it up, and he gave me his card and said, check out our podcast. It got to be 2019. I'm like, I brought it up finally. I told Frank I'd do it, and these guys are great. I listen to them every time I can, whether I'm riding my fat tire bike, I'm lifting the gym. They're just very entertaining. Some of them are kind enough to DM with me. And I'm living a super fan's dream. I'm a huge Marvel fan. Remember, I'm almost 50, so I come back from actually reading comic books, and to see all this stuff on the big screen, I'm just so grateful for it. And these great, Brittany, George, Frank, Justin, they just are so entertaining to watch, and all the fans that I get kind of text happy, so I'm glad to be here. But I'm living a super fan's dream right now, and these guys are great. So
Drew, you look way younger than 50.
Yeah, for real.
It's a super serum. It's a compound V I take. So
damn it! I was hoping for that.
So.
Oh yeah, no, Drew, thank you so much. We've always been appreciative of your support and hyping us up and like sharing all of our social content. We really appreciate that. And we are very happy to have you here because obviously you know a lot about Boba Fett and we don't know a whole lot about
and
Boba
Frank
Fett.
doesn't like Star Wars, so
Frank doesn't like Star Wars.
It fit you perfectly. So
yes, that's awesome.
But yeah, we're really happy to have Drew with us. And just a quick shout out to Mel. Thanks for the question, but also I watched your episode with Brittany yet a few weeks ago, and I subscribed to your channel. So I'm one of your thousands of subscribers. So we would love to have what you've got going on there. But
check it out, Mel, on these guys' recommendations. So always room for more pop culture in my life.
But I really enjoyed your show and the fig pin thing. I like that stuff. Like Funko Pop has fig pins; those are kind of cool. So anyway, I'm into that stuff too. But let's get back to Boba Fett. See, even in the podcast about Boba Fett, we talk about something else. Like his show became The Mandalorian. Like,
oh my god,
no respect. He's the Rodney Dangerfield of the Star Wars galaxy. Like, no respect for this guy.
Oh goodness! Come on, let's stay on track, y'all.
We're back on track. We're back on track. We were talking about Spice and the Syndicate. My biggest problem with the show, I think. Well, okay, I have a couple things. Let me just get these out of the way right now. First off, the regular people and the aliens all were terrible. Like like the guy that spun around the gun. Like, why was he spinning around? Like the kids on the Vespa scooters, like that was lame.
The
mods.
The
mods.
The mods. Every single like dog-faced alien character, those look so like all of those kind of characters that they were in Return of the Jedi, they looked way better in Return of the Jedi. Even like the Tusken Raiders and the Pike people, like they all look better in the movie. But I digress. But
we'll put a pin in that. I'm going to add something to the stream, but we'll come back and talk about that in a little bit.
Sure.
Okay.
But it relates to so my biggest gripe with the whole show, or my nitpick, or whatever you want to say, is there wasn't. And this is a problem with Marvel and really a lot of this stuff. There wasn't a really good big bad in this show. The Syndicate and the Pikes were pretty weak.
That's true.
I mean, Cad Bane, which we'll talk about right now, I guess. I wasn't aware of that. I mean, I knew the name, but I didn't know who the character really was because that's a Clone Wars and that's a Rebels character. Right. As Brittany's showing on the screen right now.
Mm-hmm.
So he was an awesome like side boss, but the big boss, they weren't that interesting. They weren't that strong. And so to me, great villains make great stories, like with Thanos, with Killmonger, with, like the Joker in the Dark Knight Rises or the Dark Knight movie series. Like those are like, you have to have a great villain to have enhance the hero.
Yeah.
So this show didn't really have that. So what y'all think about that? Do y'all agree with me? Do you disagree with me?
I agree.
George, go ahead.
No, I agree. You're totally right, Jay. There was no villains, like a major villain that you can point to in the show. And
Yeah.
honestly, in The Mandalorian, it seems that way too. Like at least they have the most what's that dude's name? The guy from Breaking Bad?
Oh yeah.
Darth. Oh yes.
They had
Oh,
that guy, but it seems like
Moff
it just
Gideon.
Moff Gideon.
Gideon.
Good job.
Moff
Yep,
Gideon.
Moff
There you go. And it just ends so quick, you know. Like I don't know. You're right, Jay. I agree with you.
I agree in the sense the parallel that we have with like some of these Star Wars shows and Marvel where you introduce a character and then you like kill them off immediately. Because the
Right.
fact that like Cad Bane has a presence in Star Wars Clone Wars, which is the animated series, and then Star Wars Rebels, from what John has shared with me, my husband, and what little my brother has shared with me, like dude is a badass. Like he's like the ultimate bounty hunter. And the fact that he was given like just like 2 episodes was and died like was sort of strange. And then people were bugging out about how different he looked in the live action as opposed to an animation. It's an animation. They can do whatever they want. Like they can like if you
I think it's
if
pretty
you were
good.
to if you were to side by side, right.
Not bad.
Right. If you were to side by side Count Dooku and the animation and then Christopher Lee's Count Dooku, totally different. Okay.
How about Count Dooku? The name is terrible. I mean, like,
that's another
come
story.
on.
That's another
Workshop it like 5 more minutes and come up with a better name. I mean, come on.
But the interesting fact here, apparently, because I did watch a clip from Star Wars Rebels with Cad Bane here. He's voiced by the same voice actor, but the voice is very different from the animation as opposed to the live action. I actually prefer the live action voice. He sounded a lot more menacing. He had that very, evil cowboy, that Western, that drawl kind of thing. And when he was trying to make a point, he would speak slowly, right? His pacing was, like you should have blah, 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 whatever it was. But I don't know. I liked this version of Cad Bane, the very short amount of time we had Cad Bane. I liked him. I would have liked to have seen more out of him. I would have liked for him to have carried on into either The Mandalorian or another season of Boba Fett, if that's what they decide to do. But yeah, I was disappointed that there really wasn't a big bad. However, I was really annoyed with this character.
Oh, yeah.
He annoyed the fuck out of me. Yeah. So I don't even know his name. I just know I don't like him.
Butt tails.
Yeah. So Drew, on that thought, so what are your thoughts on Cad Bane, and do you think this show had a villain problem?
I actually honestly thought it had too many villains. So if knowing what I know, because I have some of the Star Wars comic books, the cousins of Jabba the Hutt do actually try to move in, but they actually hire Boba Fett to help do it, and it kind of backfires on everybody because they double cross Boba Fett, and then he goes back after them. They go back to the planet, I think it's called Hatada, I think, where the Hutts are from. So these two, actually, I was interested to see them. I was glad to see them because they pulled from the comic book series that I have familiarity with from too many years ago. So they're kind of like, he's trying to, like, he wants to be the dynamo, right? And he's because he killed Bib Fortuna, and now he's trying to make it a kinder, gentler, I don't know, or a tougher, nicer something, because they're tough and nice. But yeah, he's just trying to clean up the crime and stuff. So yeah, the Syndicate was something, again, it's another component of the Star Wars universe I don't have a lot familiar with. You only have so much bandwidth in your life. But so my thing was, I love the first 2 episodes. If I could, being from when I'm in the 80s, when I saw Stranger in Strangeland, all I could think of was the Iron Maiden song. And the titles of the chapters are great. I'm thinking, this is Western feel. I'm thinking Stranger in Strangeland, the Tribes of Tatooine. Those are great. The Gathering Storm. I love some of the names of the titles. These are tough, cool names and got me excited. But to your point, I'll get back to your point. I think it was a major missing a big bad, or sometimes there were too many villains. Like the Santos, the big dark Wookiee. It's like he's got to deal with him now too. It's like, man, he's just going to get piled up on, And then, but then all of a sudden it took the turns it did. So I'm agreeing with all you that it may have lacked one big bad, and in some points I thought in some of these episodes you had too many bad guys. Mm-hmm. So that's where I live with that.
I guess my thing is we were built up over the first, kind of 6 episodes that there's this battle coming, there's this war coming, and then the actual war was pretty weak. I thought it was pretty, like it was in the streets, like It wasn't a ton of people on either side. Like I'm not really sure why he needed all this. Why Boba Fett needed all this help. Like he could have just had the Rancor, which the Rancor obviously becomes the key player. And then that's something else I don't understand about the finale. The Rancor, they're using the Rancor to kill these like spider droids or scorpion droids.
Scorpionox droids. Yeah.
Okay. And they have like this force field around them. So it's like ridiculous. They're
That's
so
a callback
overpowered.
to episode 1.
Right. There
That's
you
a
go.
callback to episode 1.
That's
There
what
you
I
go.
thought. Episode 1, the droids. Yeah, the droid army. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
You bring the Rancor in, right? And he's like, you have Boba Fett
He's
riding
Hulk
him.
smashing.
Exactly.
Like, he's Hulk
And
smashing.
that is probably Boba Fett's one of, maybe if not his best moment of the whole season. He's riding this Rancor and destroying these droids that are shooting at everybody, and then the dumbass people start shooting at the Rancor, and I'm like, he's on your team. Like he's on your team. Like, what are you doing? And then of course Boba Fett has to the Mandalorian tries to stop him, and then Grogu actually is the one who makes the save. But like, it's like, what's going on here? Like.
If I could,
go ahead, Drew. Go ahead.
Actually, if you look back and watch Cad Bane attacks, he's the one. So he does something with fire that agitates the Rancor. So it's actually Cad Bane trying to turn the Rancor on the people helping him. Just something I noticed. I binge watched these over the last 2 days, knowing to be as prepared as possible, and I was like, wow, that's right. So.
Well, you're more prepared than I am. So
that's
you go.
okay. So, but no, just want to mention that. But if I could, real quick.
Yep.
I love the Mandalorians. My favorite one from the original series, season 1, is the episode "The Sin." Cool name, but when they all come out at the end, jetpack fighting and all that. When I saw Boba and Darjan shoot out with their jetpacks, I'm like,
oh yeah.
I'm like, the only thing that could top this is he's going to ride the Rancor, and all of a sudden I see Boba Fett. I'm like, okay, this is kind of predictable, but even still, seeing them do their jetpacks and do their fighting and all that, and their beast guard armor being able to take the fight, that was my highlights. That and then the Rancor. You knew he was going to ride that Rancor because he said that in episode whatever one it was, 3, that he got the Rancor with Danny Trejo. That was
okay.
That was
now that you've mentioned it,
Yep. Yeah,
I lost my shit when I saw Danny Trejo on the screen. I'm like, no, Justin knows this. I immediately messaged him the moment I saw Danny on the screen, and I'm like, Danny fucking Trejo.
Well,
why? And then I
just feel like he didn't fit. He didn't fit in the Star Wars world to me. But
there
that's
was a
because
lot of random.
Yeah. But that was because Robert Rodriguez directed that particular episode, and they're good friends.
Absolutely.
Danny was in the Spy Kids movies that Robert Rodriguez directed, and I was like, why? Why is he here?
Do any of you know who Thundercat is?
No.
He's the guy at the very end in the post-credit scene.
Yeah, but he was on the he was on
he
was modding people. He's a music producer. I listened to his music. I was like, what the fuck is he doing in the Star Wars universe? That was so cool.
So he was like the mod artist that worked on Fennec Shand. Now she's semi what's the word? She's semi-robotic. She's a mod.
Cyborg. She's a cyborg.
Cyborg. Thank you. I couldn't think of the freaking word. And yeah, so we saw him at the very end of this, with the mid-credit scene. I'm just going to go ahead and show it on here if I, know how to work this thing. Cobb Vanth, we know that from the previous episode, he was shot down by Cad Bane. And when the people of Freetown came into the fight, he said, one of the guys said, he was shot in cold blood. So that makes you believe that he's dead, right? Technically, he is dead, or on the verge of dying, just as Fennec was, until Boba brought, Fennec to the mod artist, just as we see here with Cobb Vanth in the backdraft tank. He is about to be saved, quote unquote, by the mod artist. So that to me kind of, for one, I think we may get a second season. If not, we're going to see these characters collide in Mandalorian again. And I think Cobb Vanth is going to have some sort of debt to pay to Boba, just as Fennec did. So what are y'all's thoughts on this mid-credit scene now that we're here?
Real quick, sorry guys, as a guest, if I could jump in. So Boba Fett actually does mention towards the end of the episode that he's in my bacta tank. He actually says that. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if you guys picked up on that.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, sorry if you said that, Brittany. Yeah, he actually said.
Well, he said that
he says it's in use or something.
It's in
use.
Right?
It's in use. Sorry,
right.
It's in use. So that made me. So I guess I kind of knew, just being the fan, who it was. Sorry, I put things.
Because
I
think
you're fine.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that Black Chrysanthemum, because he gets shot, like, because again, Black Chrysanthemum is such an overpowered character. They had to like gang up on him and shoot him a million times, but somehow he's still alive. And I think they were saying he could use the back to tank, right? And then
right.
Yeah.
right,
Boba says that's when Boba says, yes, there's someone in my back to
Right.
tank. You're correct. Sorry, guys, but yeah.
No,
But
you're
you
good,
definitely in this series. The one thing I did learn: if you do get in the back to tank, just don't go to sleep, because then something bad's gonna happen. Every time he goes to sleep, something bad happens.
Yeah,
But,
that's true. That's very true.
Hey, Brittany, if you could go back to one of the scenes you had a second ago with Grogu, we need to talk about Grogu some, and we also need to talk about another character called named Luke Skywalker. He's kind of a big deal. He's my favorite. He's my
Ever heard
favorite
of
Star
him?
Wars guy. Yeah.
Ever heard of him?
So let's talk about Grogu from the finale.
Well,
Brittany,
I have Luke on the screen, sir.
Well, could you please go back to Grogu, then we'll go to Luke?
Dang it. Okay, fine.
Okay, I appreciate it. Sorry, this is happening on the fly, so I appreciate your patience.
Coordinated chaos.
There you go. So this part
All
right
right.
here, after Grogu, the cutest thing that's ever existed, after he puts this thing to sleep, like literally like snoring to sleep, Grogu like just collapses next to him and just goes to sleep. And Brittany, I wondered, does that remind you of anything that you might know or have, or?
Justin, I'm glad you mentioned that, because it does.
There you
It
go.
reminds me very much of my dog.
That's awesome.
She no, seriously, when she's tired and she, obviously wants to lie down and cuddle, like she'll come up to me and she lets me know. And then it's kind of, I get this look of like, come on, mom, let's go. Let's go night night. And yes, she does have her very own little baby Yoda. This is actually like a child's bathrobe. And it was a gift that John got from one of his kids. He teaches elementary school, and we've been kind of wearing it around just to be dumb, but I've now given it to Luna, and she cuddles up with it, as you can see in these photos, when it was cold out here and she still wanted to survey her kingdom, and she was cold. So yes, Justin, I totally lost it when I saw that scene with Grogu wanting to just take a nap. He's tired. I get it. He flew for a long time.
Little guy was tuckered out. Yeah.
Tuckered out.
One quick thing, if I can interject, I also wonder if his heavy use of the Force on such a creature tired him out. That was what I took it as.
I think that's absolutely
100%.
correct. Yeah.
Okay.
100%.
Just wonder if you guys read into that too. He's still in that "Am I a Jedi?" Because Luke gave him the choice, and we still don't know.
Right.
The only thing I can say is when I saw that chainmail, all I could think of was Lord of the Rings when Frodo got the mithril.
Mithril, exactly.
Yeah, I was like, kind of Frodo-ish, but it's cool. So, anyways, I digress.
No, you brought up the choice, and let's get to that. So, Luke Skywalker, who was obviously the biggest moment of Mandalorian season 2. I think that's one of the best moments in Star Wars history that
absolutely,
in my mind,
for sure,
absolutely.
So, I did not think we were going to see him back. They brought him back. He looked better than ever. The deep fake technology they used this time was so much better than what they did in the minute and a half that he was on the screen in season 2 of The Mandalorian. And I really can't wait to watch the making of this season or this episode specifically, because I want to see how exactly they did it. I think I read some stuff.
A guy, right?
Yeah, they hired the guy from YouTube.
YouTube,
yeah, exactly.
They hired that dude. That's why it looks so good.
But the thing about this is not only did but like the voice, it's Mark Hamill's voice, but Mark Hamill is not saying those lines. They've taken all this audio of him talking from back in the day when he was Luke Skywalker, and they run it through this computer program, synthesizer, and it spits out sentences. So
it's Stephen Hawking shit.
Say it again, George.
Does Mark Hamill still get paid for this?
Oh yeah, yeah. And I'm sure he was a part of this process, because in season 2 of The Mandalorian, he was actually on set, and they actually filmed him doing the things that the body double what we end up seeing with the body double.
Really?
Mark Hamill dressed up like Luke again, had the black cloak and the glove and the lightsaber, and he did all that stuff again.
That's cool.
And they tried to match it with this body double, and then they did the de-aging process, which it was awesome moment, but it didn't look great. To me, this episode showed me that you could have an entire Luke series. You could do a Luke movie. He was on the screen for 30 minutes of this episode, I think. What did y'all think about that? I'll start with George.
it was badass. Like like the different. You can tell the difference from the Mandalorian when he came in the Mandalorian, and then this one. It looks very realistic. It looks very good. I guess seeing him start the new Jedi school, it was pretty cool. Clearly, Grogu chose to go back with his dad and live out and do his little adventures with him. But I think that was a cool scene. And then we got to see Rosario Dawson's character again. I don't know her.
Ahsoka Tano.
Ahsoka Tano.
Yep.
That was pretty cool. But no, I love that we got to see him again. I wish we would have got to see him in action again because I thought that's what was going to happen for a second. But it's badass. I agree with you, Jay. There should be like a Luke show or something. They can do it.
They can definitely do it.
Yep.
Yeah. No, and I think the nod in episode 6 where we see Luke with Grogu and they're training, and it's that definite callback to when Luke was training with Yoda, you know, the being carried in the backpack and, you know, running around and doing all those things. And I thought that was really great. For me personally, I didn't think episode 6 held up compared to episode 5, which is when we had the reintroduction of the Mandalorian, because I just wasn't expecting that. Like, who the hell would have expected to see Mando, you know, in the series, right? But the intro for him was great. But a lot of these callbacks to like episode 1, for example, with the Naboo, whatever the starfighter ship.
Yep.
Right. And how they modified it and they took out the space for the droid, and you just like, oh,
they made it better. Yeah.
Yeah, it looks cooler.
It's now called the N1 Starship.
Yeah. Right. Thank you. And
you're welcome.
The fact that, you know, when they took out the droid part, you knew that they were going to put, you know, Grogu in there. And then it's like, hello.
So
hello. Cute. This scene was just so adorable in the finale. You know, they're reunited. It feels so good. And Grogu's got his little ball thing that he took from the other ship, from the what's it called? The Razor Crest.
Yep.
And, you know, he's there and he's like tapping, tap, tap, tap. And it's like, nah, tap, tap, tap. No. Tap, 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 tap. All right, this is the last time. And then next thing you know, they go Ricky Bobby, I'm gonna go fast. And he's like, wah! It's just so great.
But that scene though that you're talking about, that is the final scene of the book of Boba Fett. So again, very strange.
Real quick, if I could, just
go ahead, Drew.
I was thinking to myself, I know you know space is a vacuum, so if you keep tapping the glass, dude. But that was just me. I digress. I digress. Sorry, I was like, stop smashing the glass. But I have young children, so it's kind of like, stop screwing on the back seat. That's all I can think of. So sorry.
It was just so cute, and it makes you wonder, like, how many times did Grogu do this before the scene that we, you know, saw? Obviously, like, how many times was he like tap, 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 tap?
Real quick, if I could. So I binge watched when I had to be home when we were all COVID-19 the week of January 10th. I went and watched all the Mandalorians again. There is a lot, if you go back and see, where he's in the Razor Crest screwing around and like causing the ship. He causes the ship to go haywire, and like Mando turns his thing. It's just he's something else, man. He's a handful. I've had young children as a father, so I could relate. That's all I'm going to say.
But, you know, with that in mind, Drew, think of, you know, the scene earlier where we see that droid that can't be penetrated by any means until the Rancor like did its thing, and the fact that, you know, Grogu was like going to use the Force, and he's like, okay. And it's like, oh, you think he's going to take down this droid? No, he just took a little part, like a hinge, you know, to cause it to collapse. And he's like, wee, you know, he's a mess. He's a mess.
He's still, just like all of us growing up, he's still trying to figure himself out.
You know, he's 50 something years old, but he's still a child.
Yeah,
you know,
for that race, for sure. Yep, absolutely. I agree.
It's insane.
So, I'll start with Drew here. What'd you think about Ahsoka Tano? We know she's going to have her own show coming up. I wasn't expecting to see her in this series. What did you think about her, her brief appearance?
I was surprised, truly surprised and pleasantly surprised. So Rosario Dawson, right? She's also, you know, I'm a fan of she was heavy in the Luke Cage and in Daredevil too. So her ties to Marvel and Star Wars are fantastic. I think she's the perfect actress for this. If I could real quick, Brittany, before episode 5, I couldn't believe when I saw it was Bryce Dallas Howard that was the producer. That was...
Oh, she directed.
Directed. I'm sorry.
directed,
Yes, I'm sorry. Directed by the directed by Com. I could read. Yes, but she was amazing, and with the dark saber and all that. I mean, that was
Dude,
crazy. But anyways,
so
yeah.
good.
Because I wait till the end. I knew when I saw Daniel Treasure, I'm like, I bet you can see Robert Rod. Yeah, there I was. Robert
Yeah.
Rodriguez. I knew that. But anyways, to answer your question, Justin, absolutely loved her, and couldn't be more thrilled.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
you know who directed episode 6 was Dave Filoni, and Filoni
Yes.
created Ahsoka Tano, so that's one of his
Oh, that
baby
makes
characters.
sense.
Just like how the creator of this series and the head writer was John Favreau. He created the Mandalorian. So obviously those characters are the two main characters in this story. But I love, of course, Grogu. I mean, Grogu is the smash hit breakout star. But
Sorry.
I do love the use of Luke Skywalker because, again, he's my all-time favorite Star Wars character. And I love seeing R2 back. R2-D2 is so awesome. He's flying the baby across space in the X-Wing, and it's like not a thing. Like Luke doesn't even have to go. He can just let R2 handle it.
But R2 was just like all like, come on, let's go.
Yeah, I
I
know,
have
because
places to be.
also something else I didn't like was this Peli Moto character played by Amy Sedaris. She just gets worse every season, series, whatever. She's just annoying. Like we don't need overacting and like just we don't need it. Like you're at this level, bring it down.
Okay,
like bring it
But
down.
is she worse than this dude?
They're on the
because
same level. No, they're similar.
Okay.
I think this guy's better because this guy was at least trying to advance the story, where she just kind of, I don't know what she's doing.
No, he
Like,
just annoyed the mess out of me. It was just like you just,
No,
I
get it,
He's
but
like,
he was-
I grew up on Coruscant, and
Yeah,
I
that was great.
negotiate. Who cares? Like,
yeah,
God.
Real quick question for you guys.
Sure, go
Last episode, you know what that thing was going to say. Boba Fett is going to pay you nothing. I just knew he was going to say nothing. Some kind of like Rock talking the SmackDown comment. I just knew that was
Yeah.
coming, and he had to be proper about it. That was hilarious. So that's my 2 cents on that whole thing and this guy. So
Mhm.
exactly. The last character I just want to kind of mention real quickly, and he didn't play a big part in the show, but do y'all remember the part, and I believe it was episode 5, when the Space Rangers and the X-Wings, they stop Mando in his new starfighter, right?
Yeah.
Well, the young guy, do y'all know who that guy is?
Mhm.
The actor's name it's Max Lloyd. What's his name? Let me see. I lost my place. Max Lloyd Jones. So not a name by any stretch of the imagination, but he was the body double for Luke in Mando season 2.
Huh.
So like I said, if you watch the making of that guy, the making of that episode, that guy, he looked just like Luke back in the day. Like they could have just hired him. Like if they needed
didn't see
live
that.
action, if they needed
I didn't
someone
see
to
that.
play it, and Sebastian Stan didn't want to do it, like this guy could definitely carry the role. I mean, I'm telling you, watch the making of Mando season 2. It's worth the watch, especially that season finale. But anyway, they gave him another part in the show. I thought that was kind of cool. So, and Star Wars is
Keeping it
kind
all
of
in the family.
Yeah,
love that scene too, because the older X-Wing pilot knew who Mando was from a previous episode. So
Yeah.
that was cool.
Well, and
Just
he's
like
been,
that cop that pulls you over one time too many,
Right.
Just saying from what my friend tells me. Just
okay.
What-
Sure.
Brittany, were there any other characters you wanted to highlight?
I think we pretty much went through all those that I wanted to talk about. I know that in the penultimate episode, there was this dude. I know a lot of people
Max
on the
Rebo
internet.
band, the Max Rebo band.
So many people were so concerned if this dude survived. I'm here to say, probably didn't.
Oh, in the club,
So,
no. If I could, the highlight of my thing from my Generation X year is Jennifer Beals as the Twilight Club owner. I'm sorry, I did DM Justin about that. I'm like, that's one of my crushes from back in the 80s. I was like, my girl Jennifer Beals.
She's like almost 50, isn't she, or something like that?
She's 53.
Oh,
older than me.
then there you go. Okay. Well, then
anyways,
there you go.
enjoyed seeing her. When I saw her in the first episode, I'm like,
See, I thought she was going to play a bigger part. I thought she was maybe going to be a villain or something. That's the part of this show that that's the non-Marvel part of this show. Like Marvel, whenever you cast someone like that, you would have them play a bigger role or so there's still some fine tuning to do with this formula, but I do like kind of what they're doing. It's definitely better than
they threw her in for the Gen Xers like me, guys. I'm just going to tell you why they had it there. So it is what it is.
one other character I kind of
Oh,
want to talk about. I don't
Yeah.
think she was done justice in this episode. Fennec
Yeah.
Shand.
Yeah.
It was
Absolutely
like,
not.
if this is all it took to kind of end this whole thing,
She should have done that a long time
why
ago.
wasn't this done sooner?
That's what I'm
Oh
saying.
my
Like
God.
the villain, the big bads weren't big bads. They were
She's
just
a big
kinda,
bad in a good way. She's amazing. Fennec
Right.
Shand
No,
is-
and that's what I'm
oh.
saying. Her character is a master assassin. Okay. She is loyal to Boba through and through. Great. Perfect. They try to, gather the bosses of the territory for Mos Espa and say, okay, you guys stay neutral, stay out of this fight. If you don't want to fight with me, don't fight with them, stay neutral. Right. Well, obviously that didn't happen. But the fact that it's like, okay, well, they're on their way to wherever, and she's like on it, takes off in her little speeder, and then at the very end, she just does everyone in. I'm like, that's it?
Yeah.
That's it.
I was confused.
She was not done justice.
I
Not
was
done
confused.
justice.
I was the whole time. I was like, "Yo, where did she go? Like, why is she not helping?" And then I didn't catch on to later. I was like, they gave her the location to go to,
Right.
and then she ends up going. I was like, God, that's who killed them.
Right. Exactly. And I
That
was just
was
like,
not
this
good.
is so dumb.
That was
this
not good.
So, like I said earlier, talking at the about overall, I have mixed feelings about this. Like they had the potential. It could have been executed a lot better. This is one of those examples.
Mhm.
And the fact that now it's like, okay, everyone's like, yay, everyone's happy. Like, look at me, I'm Lord Boba. Everyone's bowing at me. He's like, why are they bowing at me? And all is well in the world
So
of.
did anyone take away that like he doesn't want to do it now? Like that's what I
Exactly.
heard.
Yeah.
That's what I heard. He's like, you know what? Maybe I should just go back to bounty hunting because it's kind of like I don't want to do this.
Well, and that was the thing where when he's, fighting Cad, where Cad's like, you're a killer, you're this and that. Okay, but was he trying to not be a killer? Like, I wasn't 100% with that. Like, I understand that Boba was with the Tusken Raiders and kind of like learned to fight for them, with them, that kind of thing. But the sense of him wanting to be the what do you call it? What was
Dynamo?
Jabba?
The dynamo.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Be that, it's like, okay, but you obviously don't want to rule with fear, but you still want to rule. I wasn't making those connections like with what Cad Bane was trying to say with it, to, I guess, provoke him, because obviously he wasn't expecting the whole Tusken Raider training to pop out and do him in like that, right? I don't know. It was kind of odd, or is it just me?
Nope. So real quick, the one thing that you guys are gonna laugh at, I think Boba Fett takes his helmet off way too much in this series. Boba Fett, to me,
I agree.
you got to, and like the Mando, they were all about, that was a big deal when the couple times he took his helmet off in that series. I mean, too much helmet off. Sorry.
Yeah, that's a very good point. That's an excellent point.
mean,
Yeah,
it just-
I wouldn't think
understand.
about that.
Which I understand with the Tusken Raiders. But once you got your B scar back, man, you wear your B scar.
Yeah.
Sorry, just the one little agitation way. I'm like, dude, I know you're a handsome man. You're Pacific Islanders. Some of us in this group are half Pacific Islanders. I get that, but wear your damn helmet. You're part of the Mando clan, so one way.
But he also doesn't claim the Mandalorian creed like
you are correct.
how
He
Din
asked you
Djarin
believe in that.
does.
He asked him that. You believe in all that, stuff, and yeah, you're right,
because-
Brittany. But I don't
right.
know. Helmet on.
No, I get it, because obviously that's how we
Helmet
were
on.
first, right? That's how we
Yeah.
were first introduced to Boba Fett, and now that he's just like, I'm here, I want everyone to know it's me. I don't want to rule with fear. Like, okay, fine, cool, whatever. But like, to me, that's one of my lesser. Like, I really couldn't care less about that per se, as opposed to the fact that if this is all it took for Fennec to go find these people and then do them in, and then for him to just do in Cad Bane like that, like, why wasn't that done like to begin with? Fine.
Total side note. Michelle Yeoh is an amazing martial artist Asian actress. Ming Wan Yen, is there how you pronounce her name?
I think so.
They need to make another Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon with her. She is phenomenal. All I have to add on that, she's going to be badass in this, and Mandalorian. She is just unbelievably awesome, and she's. Sorry, Brittany. She's also easy on the eyes. So,
listen, there are good-looking people out there.
Yeah,
I mean,
she's
you
definitely
can't,
one of
you
them.
can't hide it. It's cool. It's fine. I don't care.
I'm just saying. I just want to. Yep.
So
guess-
we're getting close to wrapping, Justin.
Yeah, let's wrap this up. I guess my last thing is, and just go around the room real quick. because they didn't really point to where this story is going. So start with George. Where do you think this story is going to go, or where would you like this story to go?
So Boba Fett wise, it seems like it's gonna go like he's kind of gonna leave the droids and not the droids, god damn it, the mod, whatever the fuck they're called,
The mods.
He's gonna leave them in charge of the city, and they can take care of the people, and he's gonna go out and kill people and shit. I don't know. That's what I'm assuming.
Oh
And I think we're just gonna see I guess the Mandalorian season 3 is coming after this, or what's next?
Well, what's next for sure is Obi-Wan Kenobi.
But that's in a different timeline, right? That would be like before this,
right?
So that I was kind of like talking about like what's gonna happen like during like in this realm right here.
It's either Mando or Ahsoka. Either Mando season 3 or Ahsoka will be the next in the storyline, I assume. Yeah.
Okay. I'm excited for it. I'll watch it. The Mandalorian, I just hope it changes a little bit, man, because like all the trying to find out what like I'll do this for you if you do this for me. Like I'm tired of that. I'm tired of that.
Annoying.
Like,
yeah.
Take a page out of this book. Like teach us something else. I don't know.
Yeah. Drew, what do you think? Where do you think the story's going to go? Where do you want the story to go?
Where I want the story to go, and I know George will back me up on this, I think we should make a Yellowstone of Tatooine and Verdanthus between the Mandalorian and that's where I would take this. You know, there's guns, there's violence. Cool. They have to add a little bit the adult sex scenes like Yellowstone has, but that's where I'd like to see it go. You know, if you're asking where it's going to go, it's Disney's a family channel. It's not like Peacock or Paramount, but I'm just keeping an open mind. Like I said, I had to keep an open mind and watch the season episode 1 3 times to get my paradigm shifted and understand where this is going. So I'm going to keep an open mind. And you clearly can see it said season finale, Book of Boba Fett. So season finale does not say series finale. So we're going to see Boba Fett again. Mando said Mando season 2 is season finale. So they're going to cross paths and it's going to be great. If they make a Yellowstone Bantha ranch, I'll be super happy.
Drew,
listen,
if that happens, you're going to get Frank to watch that show.
Absolutely. And if they rescue Jennifer Beals so they can bring her to the ranch. I end on that. I'm sorry.
Oh my god.
The Skywalker Ranch.
There you go.
Oh, that's good.
But oh my god. I'm all for more Timothy Oliphant. I know Justin's mom is a big fan.
Hey.
I am too.
Another cowboy for the ranch. I'm saying.
I'm all for that. I personally, I don't know where the direction will go at this point. I'm almost gonna just guarantee we're gonna see another collision of Boba with Mando in The Mandalorian. It just almost seems appropriate at this point. You know, he came into Boba's series. All right, we're gonna have Boba go back into Mando's series, but I'm not sure. I'm not quite sure the direction that this will all take unless, like George says, Boba leaves the people of Mos Espa to the mods, and he just goes on with Fennec to go take bounty jobs and does what he does best, right? So I don't know. We'll see. Justin, we're losing you a little bit. You're kind of fading into.
Sun's getting low, big guy. It's like the Hulk. Yeah. Sorry. I got natural light here, and it's fading on me. I'm like a Force ghost now. Anyway.
No.
All the Star Wars references. No, I've got some thoughts. So here we go. So where do I think it's going to go? I agree with kind of what everyone has said. I do think that we're going to see, Boba Fett in the Mando series, in the Ahsoka series. They're just going to cross over. I actually think that's the way to go. Right. Mm-hmm. Now, what do I want to see? You know what I want to see? I want to see more of Luke. I want to see I want a series or a movie called The Real Rise of Skywalker. There we go.
God.
That's what I need. I need that desperately. So, anyway, overall, I enjoyed this show. I think we all enjoyed this to varying levels. Looking forward to whatever Star Wars comes up next, which I guess will be Obi-Wan. We know that's going to be May 25th. But the next thing we're going to be talking about is Moon Knight. And apparently, Drew is a massive Moon Knight fan. So Drew, you will return in our Moon Knight review, just like the Marvel thing at the end. Yeah. So we're looking forward to that. We still owe everybody a Shang-Chi episode, and we still owe a what else, Brittany? There's something else.
We also owe them.
What else do we owe? I'll look at my list.
I don't even know.
What if? It's
What
like,
if? There we go.
What
Yeah,
if
you're
we
right.
actually did a series review of What If? So that'll be coming up soon. Of course, the Multiverse of Madness is coming up.
Clearly at the top
Great
of our
stuff.
list.
George, are you watching Peacemaker?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
So is tomorrow the final episode? Or?
No, there's one more this
next
week and one more.
Thursday.
Yep.
Okay.
Next week.
It's funny. It's way
George,
better than Suicide Squad. So
Oh, it's way better.
It's better than The Boys, George. So, but we won't digress.
Oh,
So,
boy.
if you guys
Ooh.
don't mind, real quick.
I don't know about that.
Oh,
Better than The Boys. That's a strong
I don't
take.
agree with
Hey,
that.
you know what? I honestly think it is. Real quick, if I could, I just want to say to everybody, I want to say thanks to the watchers, to Brittany, to Justin, to George, to Frank, and Spirit. I want to sign off and say, you know what, everybody out there, keep your feet on the ground, keep reaching for the stars, as my buddy Casey Kasem used to say. And one day you two will be a guest of honor on Awesome Pop Culture Podcast. May the force be with you all, and this is the way.
Oh wow! What a
I can't
great
beat that.
sign-off.
I can't top that. The only
I
thing I
know,
can
I-
say is, Brittany, how can people find us on social media?
I know, right? I can't top that either. Damn. So easy enough. You can follow us on social media. That's Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Search The Watchers in the Basement or the handle Watchers Basement. You can also spread the word about The Watchers in the Basement by helping grow our audience. Use hashtag Watchers Basement when tweeting, Instagramming, you name it, that kind of thing. I know my buddy Nick from the UK has been hyping us up on his Instagram. Really appreciate it. Really appreciate all the support that we've received, since the beginning. And now, it's been great. People like Drew can pop up on our show because you've been supporting us. There you go. There's your incentive. And lastly, if you're not into video podcasts, like we are live streaming here on YouTube, you can find us on Spotify, Google Podcasts, and Apple Podcasts. Be sure to give us a 5-star rating. That way we can continue to, do this thing. And maybe one day it'll turn into a full-time job.
Thank you,
We get
Brittany.
sponsored by Spice.
There we go. Sponsored by Spice. Yep. Dune
God.
2.
Oh God.
More
Let's not talk about
spice.
that.
Dune 2 Spice World. There we go with the Spice Girls.
Spice World, nice.
Stop
Oh,
it. Stop it.
So thank everybody for watching this. We really appreciate it. Or if you're listening to this later on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, we appreciate that as well. So for Brittany, for George, and for our special guest, Drew, I'm Justin saying we'll see you next time. Thank you.